Aron Ralston was trapped alone in a Utah canyon for 127 hours, with one arm pinned under a rock and no one coming to look for him. He walked into the desert as a strong young climber, but he walked out as a man who had made an almost impossible choice. How did one small decision, not telling anyone where he was going, turn a weekend trip into a fight for life? Learn English with true stories. Listening, shadowing, main points on screen, and review at the end. Aron Ralston was born on October 27, 1975, in Ohio, and he grew up with a love for the outdoors. As a young man, he was smart, active, and full of energy. He studied engineering at Carnegie Mellon University, then worked for Intel in New Mexico. But office life was not enough for him. Mountains, rivers, snow, and open land called to him more strongly than a normal career. Over time, Aron started to spend more and more of his life outside. By his late 20s, he had a clear dream. He wanted to climb all of Colorado's 14ers, mountains higher than 14,000 feet. It was a hard goal. But Aron liked hard goals. He was not careless in every part of life. He had outdoor skills, he had experience, and he knew how to move through wild places. But even skilled people can make simple mistakes, and sometimes one mistake is enough. The first warning sign came before he even reached the canyon, but at the time, it did not feel like a warning. In April 2003, Aron planned a weekend trip in Utah. He wanted to explore Blue John Canyon, a remote area near Canyonlands National Park. It was a place of narrow passages, quiet rock, and deep desert space. Aron had been there before, and he felt confident. He was traveling alone, which was something he often did. Solo trips gave him freedom, silence, and a strong feeling of control. Before leaving, he did not give anyone a clear plan. He did not tell his friends exactly where he would be. He did not leave a full route with his family. At the time, that choice may have seemed small. He expected to be back soon. It was only a short adventure, just another weekend in the outdoors. On Saturday, April 26th, Aron rode his bike into the area, then continued on foot. The weather was good, and the trip felt normal. Along the way, he met two young women, and they spent a short time together exploring. They later went their separate ways. Aron continued alone into Blue John Canyon. The land around him became quieter, and the walls of the canyon closed in. Then, in one narrow section, a rock moved. Aron was climbing down through the canyon when a large boulder shifted. In a sudden moment, it fell and trapped his right arm against the canyon wall. The movement was fast, and after it happened, everything stopped. At first, Aron tried to understand the situation. He pulled, pushed, and moved his body in different ways. But the rock did not move. The boulder weighed hundreds of pounds. His arm was stuck. Around him, the canyon was silent. At that moment, Aron was still thinking like a problem solver. He had been in difficult places before, and he believed there had to be a way out. He tried to chip at the rock with his small multi-tool. He tried to lift it. He tried to free his arm. Nothing worked. Hours passed, and the light began to change. Aron was still standing in the same place, unable to leave. The first day was turning into night, and he knew he had a serious problem. But the hardest part was not the rock. The hardest part was the truth that no one knew where he was. Aron had only a small amount of food and water. He had some basic gear, including a small video camera. As the hours went by, he began to record messages. At first, the recordings were practical. He talked about what had happened, where he was, and what he was trying to do. It was a way to stay calm and keep his mind busy. During the first night, the canyon became cold. Aron could not lie down properly. He had to stand or rest in an uncomfortable position with his arms still pinned. Sleep came in short pieces. Each time he woke up, the same truth was there. The rock was still there. His arm was still trapped. No voices came from above. On the second day, hope was still alive. Aron believed that maybe someone would pass by. Maybe a hiker would enter the canyon. Maybe his friends would notice he was missing. He called out when he could. His voice rose through the narrow space, but the desert gave no answer. Blue John Canyon was too remote, and he was too deep inside it. As the sun moved across the sky, Aron measured his water carefully. Every sip mattered. He knew that panic would make everything worse, so he tried to stay focused. Still, the situation was changing. His body was weaker. His mind was tired. The simple trip had become a test that no person could prepare for completely. By the third day, hope and fear were living side by side. Aron began to think more deeply about his life. He thought about his parents, his sister, and the people he loved. The video camera became more than a tool. It became a way to speak to them, in case he never returned. He recorded calm messages, but the meaning behind them was heavy. He said what he needed to say. He faced the possibility that these might be his last words. For many people, that kind of fear would break them. Aron was afraid too, but he kept thinking. He kept looking for options even when every option seemed impossible. He had a small knife on his multi-tool, but it was not strong. He tried to use it on the rock, but it was not enough. He tried other methods, but the boulder stayed in place. Time moved slowly. The canyon did not care about hope, plans, or strength. It simply held him there. Then Aron started to understand something terrible. Rescue was unlikely, and waiting might mean death. This was the turning point, but it did not arrive all at once. It came step by step, through cold nights, dry lips, and long hours of silence. Aron realized that no one was looking in the right place. His truck was far away. His bike was hidden from clear view. The canyon was not a busy trail. If someone started searching, the search area would be huge. On the fourth day, Aron's strength was low. He continued to ration what he had. His mind moved between memory, fear, and problem-solving. He later said that he had a clear thought about the mistake he had made. Not telling anyone his plan was not just a small detail. It was the reason he was alone. That lesson became one of the most important parts of his story. In the outdoors, skill matters, but communication matters too. A plan can save time, and time can save a life. Still, knowing the mistake did not free him. The rock was still there. The canyon was still empty. That night, Aron had a powerful vision of a future moment. He imagined himself with a child, and this image gave him a new reason to fight. It was not proof that he would survive, but it gave him something to hold on to. Sometimes hope does not arrive as a big answer. Sometimes it arrives as one small picture in the mind. On the fifth day, Aron stopped waiting for rescue. He understood that if he stayed, his chances were almost gone. If he wanted to live, he had to do something no one ever wants to do. He made a decision that is now known around the world. Aron chose to free himself by amputating his trapped arm. It was a shocking choice, but in that moment, it was his only path out. This part of the story is often told for shock, but the deeper truth is not shock. The deeper truth is decision. Aron had to accept reality, then act. Using the tools he had, he carried out the amputation in a controlled and determined way. He did not have proper medical tools, and he did not have help. Still, He kept going until he was free. After 107 hours trapped in the canyon, Aron stepped away from the boulder. But freedom did not mean safety. He was weak, injured, and still far from help. The desert around him was open and dry, and he had to move. Standing there was not enough. Aron still had to get out of the canyon. He prepared himself as best he could, then began the next part of the survival story. Every step mattered. At one point, he had to rappel down a drop of about 65 feet. For a strong climber on a normal day, that would be a serious task. For Aron and his condition, it was a huge challenge. Still, he did it. He moved carefully because one more mistake could end everything. The canyon that had trapped him now became the path he had to escape. After the rappel, he continued walking. His body was weak, and the distance felt long. Reports say he hiked several miles before he finally met other people. Those people were hikers from the Netherlands, Eric and Monique Meyer, and their son. They were shocked to see him, but they quickly understood that he needed help. Soon after, a rescue helicopter arrived. Aron was taken to medical care, and his life was saved. The man who had disappeared into the canyon had come back from a place where almost no one could reach him. Later, rescuers returned to the canyon and recovered his arm from under the boulder. Aron's story spread across the world, not because it was simple, but because it was so hard to understand emotionally. How can a person make that choice? How can the mind stay clear enough? How can someone move from fear to action when the situation feels impossible? Aron later wrote a book called Between a Rock and a Hard Place. The title became a clear expression of his real situation. He was trapped between two terrible options, and one of them gave him a chance to live. In 2010, his story was made into the film 127 Hours, directed by Danny Boyle with James Franco playing Aron. The film brought the story to millions of people. Many viewers already knew the ending, but they still watched because the real question was deeper. The question was not only, what happened? The question was, what would I do? After the accident, Aron did not disappear from outdoor life. He continued climbing and speaking about safety, courage, and decision-making. He also became a public example of survival under extreme pressure. His story is not a simple story about being fearless. Aron was not fearless. He was human, and he faced fear directly. That is why the story stays with people. It reminds us that courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is action when fear is already there. There is also a practical lesson. Before going into the wild, tell someone where you are going. Share your plan, your route, and your return time. Bring the right gear and do not treat a familiar place as a safe place. Nature can be calm one minute and dangerous the next. Experience helps, but it does not remove risk. A small habit, like leaving a note, can make a huge difference. Aron Ralston survived because he kept thinking, kept choosing, and finally did the only thing left to do. The canyon took part of his arm, but it did not take his future. Years later, people still talk about those 107 hours because the story is more than a survival case. It is a reminder that one decision can change everything, and one more decision can bring a person back. Aron Ralston's story leaves us with a quiet truth. Life can change in 1 second, but the human will can still look for a way forward. His survival was not easy, clean, or simple, but it showed how powerful one choice can be when hope is almost gone. Let's lock in these ideas with a fast review. Warning sign, a signal that something bad may happen. The dark clouds were a warning sign of a storm. leave a full route, give detailed travel plan to someone. She left a full route with her friend before hiking. Go one separate ways, stop being together and go alone. After dinner, we went our separate ways. Boulder, a very large rock. A huge boulder blocked the road. Chibat, hit something to break small pieces. He chipped at the ice with a stick, pinned, held down, and unable to move. Her hand was pinned under the heavy box. Call out, shout to get attention. She called out for help in the dark. Ration, control use of something carefully. They rationed their water during the trip. Hold on to, keep something and not lose it. He held on to hope during hard times. Carry out, complete, or perform something. The team carried out the plan successfully. Rappel, go down a rock using a rope. She rappelled down the cliff slowly. Recover, get something back again. Police recovered the lost bike yesterday. Disappear from, stop being seen in a place. He disappeared from social media last year. Absence of, lack of something. The absence of light made the room dark. Remarkable, unusual, and very impressive. She made a remarkable recovery after the accident. Extreme pressure. Very strong stress or difficulty. He worked well under extreme pressure. If stories like this help you feel English, not just study it, stay with this channel. Here, we explore fascinating real stories, surprising facts, real crime cases, and remarkable moments from history, science, and human life, while helping you improve and master your English through stories you will remember.